The poem Kubla Khan, or A Vision in a Dream, by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Part 1. A poet ought not to pick Nature's pocket. Let him borrow, and so borrow as to repay by the very act of borrowing. Examine nature accurately, but write from recollection, and trust more to the imagination than the memory. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, a leader of the British Romantic movement, English poet, literary critic, philosopher, and a theologian, who, with his friend William Wordsworth, was a founder of the Romantic movement in England. He is a member of the Lake Poets. The Lake Poets were a group of English poets who all lived in Lake District of England. He helped to introduce German idealist philosophy to English-speaking culture. Samuel Taylor Coleridge was born on October 21, 1772 in Devonshire, England. In 1795, Coleridge met William Wordsworth, and the two spent much time discussing poetry, politics, and philosophy. Both were regarded as founders of Romantic movement in England. What is Romanticism? Romanticism can be said as the reawakening of Middle Age. It is not political, but an intellectual movement. Romantic writers are concerned with nature, human feelings, compassion for mankind, freedom of the individual. It was a rebellion against society. The basic idea of Romanticism is that the reason cannot explain everything. It is primary importance of the free expression of the feelings of the artist. Romanticism in literature was a rejection of many of the values movements such as the Enlightenment and scientific revolution held as paramount. Unlike Enlightenment thinkers, Romantics search for deeper, often subconscious appeals. The important feature associated with Romanticism is focus on nature. It is not just a simple fascination but a deep respect. It says about the interaction between man and nature. According to Coleridge, a poet ought not to pick nature's pocket. Let him borrow, and so borrow as to repay by the very act of borrowing. Examine nature accurately, but write from recollection, and trust more to the imagination than the memory. Kubla Khan, Love, Frost at Midnight, and Christabel were the important poem of Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Kubla Khan. Who was Kubla Khan? Kubla Khan was 5th Khan or Emperor of the Mongol Empire in China. Xanadu is the capital of the Kubla Khan. Coleridge wrote this poem after he experienced an opium-influenced dream after reading a work describing Xanadu, that is the capital city of Kubla Khan. It was his travel book by Samuel Purchas. Coleridge was reading a travel book by Samuel Purchas which describing Xanadu, the capital city of Kubla Khan. He had drunk opium and there was an opium-experienced dream. He started writing the poem that was his dream, but was interrupted by a person from Porlock. Porlock is a coastal village in England, and person from Porlock means an unwelcome visitor to Samuel Taylor Coleridge during his composition of the poem Kubla Khan in 1797. Person from Porlock, man from Porlock, or just Porlock are used as literary allusions to unwanted intruders who disrupt inspired creativity. Coleridge was writing the poem. The poem could not be completed due to the intruder. He forgot the lines. He left it unpublished until 1860. He wrote this in 1797 and published in 1860. Coleridge begins with the allusion of Xanadu real history, but in poem gradually stepping away to imagination. The poem Kubla Khan create landscape that could not exist in reality. The poem begins with a reference to a real place called Sanadu, but gradually it's stepping away to imagination. It describes the landscape that could not exist in reality. It used unusual elements. The poem is the product of strong imagination. The poet's creativity is celebrated. Sanadu is a mysterious magical place in the poem Kubla Khan, where the unusual is to be expected. According to critics, Kubla Khan is one of the Coleridge's three great poems along with the rhyme of the Ancient Marina and Christabel, and it is one of the most famous examples of the Romanticism in English poetry. Even though the poem is a fragment, it itself seems complete. The poet described the stately pleasure dome built in Sanadu according to the decree or order of Kubla Khan. The stately pleasure dome, a beautiful palace, is built according to the decree of Kubla Khan. Decree means order, according to the order of Kubla Khan. Where it is built? Where it was built? It was built where Alf, the sacred river. River is sacred. Here poet shows its respect to the nature. River is sacred. Where Alf, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to man, down to sunless sea. Actually, there was no river called Alf in China or Mongolia. It is about poet imagination. And Alf ran through caverns. Caverns means a large cave or underground chamber. And these caverns are measureless to man. So it's an unusual usage. And it down to a sunless sea. It is a place where no sun shines. Here poet is creating a landscape that could not exist in real. By the usage, measureless to man, down to sunless sea. Sunless sea and measureless caverns are unusual usage. The first stanza start by referring a real place, Sanadu. After poet used his own imagination to create an unusual landscape. So 25 miles of fertile ground, with walls and towers were girdled round, and there were gardens bright with sinuous reeds, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And here were forests ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spot of greenery. In the next stanza, poet is describing about the garden around the palace. There is a fertile land covering 25 miles, that is 10 miles, that was enclosed with walls and tower. Girdled round, girdle means encircled, that was encircled with the walls and tower. Cavern was measureless, but the fertile land is measured here, 25 miles. And there were gardens bright with sinuous reeds. Sinuous means having many curve and turn. Sinuous. And reeds means small stream. It is about a twisty stream. And the garden is blossomed with incense-bearing trees, sweet-smelling trees, sweet-smelling trees. And forests enfolding sunny spot of greenery. And here were forests ancient as the hills. He used the word ancient. Primeval forest as old as the hills. And it enfolding sunny spot of greenery. Forest enfolding sunny spot of greenery. The poet created a vague romantic place, using the phrases deep romanticism, side-to-side garden trees, savage place, and the savage place as holy and enchanted. And it is beneath a waning moon. And this place was haunted by a woman who was wailing, who was crying and waiting for her dumb lover. From this chasm, a fountain glowed, with ceaseless turmoil seething, ceaseless, endless turmoil with great disturbance, intense anger. So this ceaseless turmoil seething, this line describes the violent nature of the water. And here as if this earth in vast expanse were breathing. Here the trembling earth appeared like a man breathing hard. Earth is described as a breathing animal by Coleridge, due to the violent force of nature, amid whose swift half-intermitted burst. Swift, happening quickly, intermit, discontinue. and huge fragment bolted like rebounding hail. So Coleridge wanted to describe the power of water. He used the simile rebounding hail. Hail means frozen ice. It's bolted like a rebounding hail. The river is bouncing at the rocks as hail. Bouncing at the rocks as hail. The water fell into the ground in all directions like a hailstone from the sky, or like a chaff flying about when crushed with a flail. Flail means a threshing tool. Thresher, a machine or a person separate grain from corn. The rocks are dancing, and it flung up momentarily the sacred river. It moved always. In this stanza, description of River Alp shows how powerful it is. River Alp flowed 5 miles through forest and valley and fell into the lifeless ocean. The feature of the ocean is absence of life. And to the measureless caverns, and sang in tumult to a lifeless ocean. Tumult means a great confusing voice. And the river created a great roaring sound when it fell into the ocean. Kubla Khan heard ancestors' prophecy of war amidst these sounds. The explanation of next stanzas and critical appreciation will be in next video. Thank you. Share and subscribe.